Hello, welcome to BBC News. We start with some breaking news. One of Britain's best-known holiday flight companies, Monarch Airlines, has collapsed in the last hour with all flights immediately cancelled. It means more than 100,000 passengers are now stranded abroad across Europe and also in Turkey. It's the UK's largest ever airline to enter into administration. The British government says it is helping to secure a fleet of 30 aircraft, flying to dozens of Mediterranean resorts to bring stranded British passengers home. 300,000 future bookings have also been cancelled. Well, the news was broken in the last 30 minutes or so. The Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA, issued a statement. The statement was from the Chief Executive, Andrew Haines. It says, "We know that Monarch's decision to stop trading will be very distressing for all of its customers and employees." The government has asked the CAA to support Monarch customers currently abroad to get back to the UK at the end of their holiday at no extra cost to them. It continues, "We are putting together at very short notice what is effectively one of the UK's largest airlines to manage this task." But he added the scale and challenge of the operation meant that some disruption was inevitable. Well, earlier, my colleague Duncan Golestani spoke to news correspondent John Donnison. He asked him what Britain's Civil Aviation Authority had said and what it meant now for passengers abroad.
I can read it to you here now. Monarch Airlines has ceased trading with immediate effect, leaving 110,000 customers overseas and in the region of 300,000 future bookings cancelled. Now, what the Civil Aviation Authority goes on to say is that they have now chartered in 30 planes from other airlines who are going to begin an operation to bring back those Monarch customers who are currently stranded overseas.
What about passengers that are booked on flights in the coming days, weeks, months?
Well, I think if you booked on a holiday, a package holiday, Monarch has several bits of its business. One of the smaller parts is package holidays. You will be covered. You will get your money back. If it's a flight, that is not certain at all because there aren't the same sort of insurance and guarantees for people who've only booked flights. We've also seen a statement from the CEO of Monarch that's gone out to all staff. He's kind of apologising. He, in particular, identifies problems with their route to Turkey and to Egypt, which were badly affected in the last year or so by some of those terrorism attacks in those countries. He was saying that was one of the big factors. They've also been hit badly by the weak pound. A lot of their revenue in terms of tickets comes in pounds. A lot of their expenses in terms of fuel go out in dollars. That means they've really struggled to make ends meet, and it has been a difficult time, a very, very competitive market in terms of low budget, short haul flights in Europe.
John Donnison speaking a little earlier. Plenty more on the website, but if you are just switching on and joining us now, the breaking news in the last hour is that Monarch Airlines, Britain's 5th largest airline, but one of the best known around Europe and Turkey, has gone into administration. The news broke in the last hour. It's bad news, of course, not only for the employees, 2,500 employees of Monarch Airlines, but also for 110,000 holidaymakers now effectively stranded across Europe and Turkey. Let's get more on this now, actually, with Britain's Civil Aviation Authority. With me is the Head of Policy for the CAA, Tim Johnson. Very sad news, Mr. Johnson, for the employees and indeed for passengers. Just talk us through the numbers. How many people will need to be repatriated and how quickly can that happen?
Good morning. So we absolutely understand that this morning's news will be distressing both for the employees and the passengers of Monarch Airlines. There are currently 110,000 people overseas with Monarch. What's really important is that we have organised, or we're organising a programme to bring those customers back to the UK at the end of their holiday. So we would absolutely want to say to passengers currently overseas, please enjoy your holiday. We will bring you back at the end of that holiday But please check our website. That's monarch.caa.co.uk, which sets out all the details of those return flights.
Well, what about those
customers
what
who
about those
haven't yet
passengers due to fly home today in the next few hours?
We've already got planes in the air which are going out to those sort of European airports, and we're expecting the vast majority of customers who are due to return back to the UK today to be brought back on those aircraft. What I would also add is that for customers who are due to fly out on holiday today from the UK, for passengers who are perhaps on their way to the airport now, unfortunately all your flights have been cancelled. So we would really encourage you not to go to the airport this morning.
So all those people abroad at the moment will be flown home today if they were due to fly home, and that is the responsibility, and that is your pledge, is it, from the Civil Aviation Authority? Yes, you will come home, or could some people be stranded for maybe a day or two?
We are establishing at very short notice one of the UK's largest airlines. We have contingency plans in place for just such an eventuality, and we are confident that we will get back the vast majority of people on the day that they were due to come back to the UK.
But for people watching now, perhaps abroad, you say you'll get them home, you will do your very best. You're dealing with a big airline. Does it mean though that some people will not be able to fly home today?
We expect the vast majority of people to come back to the UK today on the day that they were scheduled. As I say, we are establishing at very short notice one of the UK's largest airlines. We have got aircraft in the sky at the moment. We've got over 30 aircraft getting themselves in the right position in Europe at the moment. So I think the strong message to customers is that they can expect to come back. But please bear with us. We are, as I say, we're trying to establish at short notice this airline, so we can't promise absolutely that everything will go without some minor disruption.
Okay, so the vast
colleagues here at the CAA are working through the night.
The vast majority will get home. Those who don't, what do they do? Will their accommodation costs be covered by the CAA? What happens?
So two distinct groups. For those that are protected by the ATOL scheme, who've paid the £2.50 insurance to get ATOL protection, any extra accommodation costs will be covered by the ATOL fund. For passengers who are not ATOL protected and potentially need a small amount of additional accommodation, we'd encourage you to talk to your insurance companies or your credit card providers about what's possible there. But I would emphasise we're expecting to get the vast majority of our customers, of Monarch's customers home today on the day that they were due to return home, and all the details of those replacement flights are on our website. That's monarch.caa.uk. And would ask any of your listeners who've got family and friends out in Europe at the moment to check the website for those return details.
Where are the planes coming from? You say you've got 30 planes in the air, and how much is that going to cost?
We've been able to lease a number of aircraft from around the world, partly in Europe, some from the Middle East, some from America. They are all sort of getting into position at the moment. This is clearly going to be a significant programme, and we expect this flying programme to cost in the order of £60 million.
Why did Monarch fail?
That's a very good question, and there will be plenty of opportunity to debate why the events today have happened. At the CAA, our sole focus over the next 2 weeks will be on bringing home customers who are currently overseas, and that will remain absolutely our priority for that 2-week period.
And are you in contact with the head of Monarch and the board of Monarch, just liaising with them?
KPMG have been appointed the administrator of Monarch at 4 o'clock this morning. So it is KPMG as the administrator that is now in charge of the company, and we will be working closely with them over the coming days to make sure we have the information required to help us with the flying programme that we're going to be running for the next 2 weeks.
Some people have described the short-haul flight business as a bloodbath in the light of terror attacks, and particularly so in Turkey and elsewhere and in Europe. Is that partly the reason why Monarch has failed, do you think?
That's a good question, and there will be lots of debate as to why Monarch has gone into administration this morning. Our sole focus over the next 2 weeks is going to be on the flying programme and bringing home customers who are currently in Europe back to the UK.
Just one final comment then. So the vast majority of people will be able to fly home today if they were scheduled to. Those who, though, perhaps are travelling already at airports today intending to take a Monarch flight, they will have to go home.
If they're departing from the UK today, then those flights will have been cancelled. So that's why we're urging customers in the UK due to fly out not to go to the UK airport. If passengers are overseas and due to return home today, as I say, we are expecting to get the vast majority of those passengers back to the UK today. And we'd ask everyone to check our website, that's monarch.caa.uk, for all those return flight details.
All right, Tim Johnson, thank you very much indeed. Tim Johnson there from the Civil Aviation Authority. Just to remind you of what has happened, Monarch Airlines gone into administration. It's one of the best known British airlines, the fifth largest in the UK. 110,000 passengers are stranded abroad. The CAA says they have chartered a fleet of 30 planes from around Europe and the Middle East and will try and get the vast majority of those Monarch Airline passengers back home if they were due to fly home today. More information on the CAA website and indeed here. This are breaking news in the last hour or so. Monarch Airlines gone into administration, 110,000 passengers stranded abroad, but the CAA saying that the vast majority will be flown home today if indeed they were due to return to the UK on this date. Those, though, people who were intending to fly out today with Monarch Airlines, unfortunately, those flights have been cancelled. They will not be able to travel. People who are covered by the Atoll insurance policy will have all their costs covered. Those, unfortunately, who didn't pay that Atoll fee will not be covered.